Example 9 says that we have an order of drug B in 50 milliliters that should be infused in 100 minutes using a microdrip set. What is the flow rate? Okay, so typically when they ask for a flow rate, we had the two options, milliliter per hour or drops per minute. And a lot of the problems we've been working have always gone back to milliliters per hour, okay, because it uses a pump or it's just the milliliter per hour seems to be more common, but this one doesn't want you to go to that. Okay, this one is actually a gravity feed. It doesn't come out and say gravity feed, or it doesn't even really give you a drop factor like you would expect, but this word microdrip should indicate to you that this is a gravity feed. Okay, so we are going to be looking for drops per minute. What is a microdrip? Well, if you think back to chapter 9, we said there were two types of tubing. There was a micro drip and there's a macro drip. Okay, the macro drip had different drop factors. It could be 10 drops per milliliter, it could be 15 drops per milliliter, it could be 20 drops per milliliter. So they would always have to tell you what the drop factor was for the macro drip. But with a micro drip, like what we have, it's always going to be 60. Okay, 60 drops per 1 milliliter. That means it takes 1 milliliter of fluid, just a teeny tiny little bit, and it splits it into 60 drops. Okay, they are teeny tiny little bitty drops. Okay, so when we say drops per minute, then we know that our first fraction needs to have drops in it. And the 50 milliliters, 100 minutes, none of that talks about drops. But we can gather that information from microdrip. Okay, so microdrip is 60 drops in 1 milliliter. So that word right there is the only indication to you that this is not milliliter per hour, that your flow rate here needs to be drops per minute. Okay, so pay attention to that word as well. Like I said, the milliliter per hour, the pump feeds are a lot more common, but you will see the gravity feeds in some of your not so fancy places, like in an ambulance or in home care. Places where they don't have all the technology like a hospital would. Okay, so it is still important that you learn how to do the gravity calculations as well, even if they don't come out and say gravity. Okay, so microdrip needs to be a notice for you that this is a gravity feed. It is 60 drops in 1 milliliter. Now that puts milliliter at the bottom, so that means our next fraction needs to have milliliter at the top. And they did tell us that the 50 milliliters should take 100 minutes. Okay, so check your units. I mean, we're out of information up here, but our milliliters get to cancel. We have drops on top and minute on bottom. So we're good to go. We can multiply the top and get 3,000, multiply the bottom, and then we can divide, and we should get 30 drops per minute.